Growth Hacker Marketing by Ryan Holiday. This video is made for educational purposes only. This book is about how marketing has changed in the digital age and how companies like Dropbox and Instagram grew without big budgets or traditional ads. It's about learning from the past, adapting to the present, and embracing the future of marketing through creativity and technology. Ryan Holiday is a media strategist who works for some big names like Tucker Max and Dov Charney. He left college early, at 19, and started learning from Robert Greene, who wrote The 48 Laws of Power. Ryan helped a lot of famous authors, musicians, and businesses. Right now, he's the director of marketing at American Apparel, and his work is known all over the world. Companies like Twitter, YouTube, and Google study his campaigns. Big magazines like Ad Age and the New York Times write about his work too. He lives in New Orleans, and you can visit his website, ryanholiday.net, to learn more. Ryan Holiday was the director of marketing at American Apparel, a big, well-known company with stores around the world. He had a lot of responsibilities: reviewing ads, approving promotions, writing press releases, and managing a team of people. His day-to-day was pretty normal, just like every other marketing executive before him. He had a big desk, a bunch of papers to sign, and a team of people working under him. He even had a fancy gym across the hall where the sewing machines were running and a photo studio where the ads were made. It was all pretty much the same as it had been for the past 75 years. But then, one day, something changed. He saw an article online that caught his attention. It was about a new idea in marketing called growth hacking. The article said that the old way of doing marketing was going to be replaced by this new method. Companies like Dropbox, Groupon, and Instagram had grown huge without spending a lot of money or using the traditional marketing techniques. They used things like A/B testing, landing pages, and viral strategies to get people to spread the word for them. Ryan was confused. How could engineers and coders be doing marketing better than people who had been doing it for years? But then he looked at the numbers. Those companies had become worth billions, and they had done it with very little. He realized that the old ways of marketing, big budgets, big events, and big ads, were no longer working. The new way was faster, cheaper, and more effective. And it was changing everything. Ryan didn't want to get bogged down in all the jargon or definitions. He knew what mattered was helping his business grow, whether it was launching a website, selling tickets, or getting people to fund a project. The way people did marketing now was totally different than it used to be. Back then, companies spent millions on ads, big events, and fancy campaigns. But now, new kinds of marketers, called growth hackers, were doing it with almost nothing. They started with small teams, no money, and a lot of creativity. They used smart ideas, testing, and ways to make people share things with their friends. These growth hackers didn't rely on big budgets or old tactics. They focused on finding the right people and making sure their message reached them. They didn't just guess, they measured everything. They saw marketing as a science, not just art. Ryan realized that the future of marketing was about data, efficiency, and making the most out of what you had. Ryan started by talking about something really important in marketing: making sure people actually want your product. He said the worst thing you can do is try to sell something no one needs. For a long time, marketers just accepted this and kept trying to push products that didn't work. But Ryan realized this was a big mistake. He saw how growth hackers changed everything by focusing on building something people really wanted. He used Airbnb as an example. At first, they tried to rent out their living room as a basic bed and breakfast. But they kept changing their idea, testing new ways to connect travelers with places to stay. They found out people wanted more than just a place to sleep. They wanted unique experiences. So they changed their whole business model. That's how they became a huge success. Ryan also mentioned Instagram. It started as a social network with a photo feature, but the team noticed people loved the photos and filters. So they changed the whole app to focus on that. It became a huge hit. Ryan said this process of testing, changing, and improving is called product market fit. It means your product and your customers are in perfect harmony. He explained that marketers should be involved in this process, not just wait for it to happen. Ryan talked about how growth hacking isn't about trying to get everyone to know your product. Instead, it's about finding the right people who really care about what you're offering. He used Brian Halligan from HubSpot to explain that you need to match how you market your product with how your customers learn about and buy things. That means you don't have to go big at first, just get a few key people really excited about your product. He gave examples like Dropbox and Mailbox. Both started by making a video that showed exactly how their product worked. They didn't spend a lot of money on ads. Instead, they made a video that was perfect for the websites and communities where their target users would see it. The video went viral, and people signed up in huge numbers. That's how they got their first customers. Ryan said that growth hackers focus on getting the right people, not just anyone. They don't try to be everywhere at once. They find the right places and people and make sure they're noticed. He said that if you're not sure where your customers are, you probably don't know your product well enough to launch. He also talked about how some companies use clever tricks to get their first users, like creating fake profiles to make their service look more popular or using events to bring in people who are really interested. The key is to focus on getting the right people early on and then letting them help grow the business. Ryan talked about how virality isn't just luck. It's about making sure people want to share your product. He used examples like the Holstay Manifesto, a short video that became wildly popular because it was inspiring and easy to share. People didn't just watch it, they spread it because it made them feel something. He explained that for virality to happen, your product has to be worth sharing. People need a reason to tell others about it. That's why companies like Groupon and Living Social built their models around referrals. They gave users something in return for sharing, making it feel like a win for everyone. Ryan also mentioned how making your product public can help it grow. Things like adding "Sent from my iPhone" or linking accounts to social media made people talk about the product without being asked. Dropbox used this idea by offering extra storage for inviting friends. It worked so well that referrals became a big part of their growth. Ryan talked about how growing a business isn't just about getting new customers. It's about keeping them around and making sure they keep using your product. He said that even if you bring in a lot of people through ads or emails, if they don't stick around, it's like you wasted your time. He used Twitter as an example. At first, people signed up, but most didn't use it much. Then a growth hacker named Josh Ellman noticed something. If new users followed a few people right away, they were more likely to stay. So Twitter changed how new users were introduced to the app, making it easier for them to start using it. That helped keep people around and made the service grow naturally. Ryan also shared how companies like Dropbox and Dogvacay use small tricks to keep people interested. Dropbox gives extra storage for people who take a tour, and Dogvacay called a user to help them get started. These are ways to turn people who just looked at your product into real users. He said this kind of marketing is different because it's not about pushing ads, but about making sure people get the most out of your service. Ryan talked about how he started to really get into growth hacking after reading an article by Andrew Chen. It made him realize that the way marketing was done wasn't working anymore. He was a VP of marketing, and he saw that his job was in trouble. Other people were coming in and changing how marketing worked. He had to figure out how to stay relevant. He was working on a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Chef. The problem was, no stores were willing to carry it. That meant they had to find a new way to get people to buy it. They had only 60 days to make it a bestseller. So they treated the book like a startup. They made sure each chapter was useful on its own, so people would want to read it. They tested everything: covers, titles, even parts of the book. They used tools to get feedback and made changes based on what people liked. They worked with bloggers and online platforms to spread the word. They even partnered with BitTorrent to give away free content from the book. People downloaded it, shared it, and then bought the book. That helped sell over 250,000 copies. They kept track of everything, saw what worked, and used that to make future projects better. Ryan realized that marketing wasn't just about ads or big events. It was about getting people to care and keep coming back. Ryan decided to share some extra stuff with people who wanted to learn more. He offered to send them raw interview transcripts, research, and articles he used for the book. He also included a chapter from his first book, which talked about how to get free publicity. As a special gift, he gave them a code for 2 free months on Growth Hacker TV. He made it easy for people to get the materials by just sending an email to growthhackermarketing@gmail.com. Ryan wanted to help others learn from his experience and grow their own marketing efforts. Ryan wanted to help people learn how to grow their businesses, so he shared extra stuff with anyone who wanted to know more. He sent out raw interviews, research, and articles, along with a chapter from his first book. He even gave a code for 2 free months on Growth Hacker TV. All someone had to do was email him at growthhackermarketing@gmail.com. Ryan wanted to make it easy for people to learn from his experience and help their own marketing grow. Now, Ryan said the best way to really learn how to be a growth hacker is to work with one. He said no one learned this in school, they learned on the job. So he listed out some great people and places to learn more. He mentioned blogs like Andrew Chen's and Noah Kagan's, and people like Patrick Vlaskovitz and Sean Ellis. He also talked about books like The Lean Startup and Contagious. There were even classes and presentations, including a 10-hour course he made with CreativeLive. He even shared links to slideshows and case studies from real companies. And he told people about a Growth Hackers conference where they could learn from others in the field. Ryan said the best way to really learn how to be a growth hacker is to work with one. He said no one learned this in school, they learned on the job. So he listed out some great people and places to learn more. He mentioned blogs like Andrew Chen's and Noah Kagan's, and people like Patrick Vlaskovitz and Sean Ellis. He also talked about books like The Lean Startup and Contagious. There were even classes and presentations, including a 10-hour course he made with CreativeLive. He even shared links to slideshows and case studies from real companies. And he told people about a Growth Hackers conference where they could learn from others in the field. So, what are the key lessons from this book? First, the most important thing is to focus on what people actually want. Don't just try to sell something. Make sure it's something people need. Growth hackers do this by constantly testing and refining their ideas, like Airbnb did when they shifted from a basic bed and breakfast to a platform that connects travelers with unique places to stay. Another key lesson is to find the right people. It's not about reaching everyone, but about connecting with those who really care about what you're offering. That's why Dropbox and Mailbox started with simple videos that showed exactly how their product worked, rather than expensive ads. Virality isn't luck, it's about making your product worth sharing. People will spread something if it makes them feel something, whether it's excitement, inspiration, or a sense of belonging. That's why Groupon and Living Social built their models around referrals, giving people a reason to tell others about your product. And finally, growth is about more than just getting new customers. It's about keeping them around and making sure they keep using your product. That's why Twitter changed how new users were introduced to the app, helping them stay engaged and active. These are the practical steps you can take to grow your business, without big budgets or complicated plans. Just focus on what people want, connect with the right people, make your product worth sharing, and keep your users coming back.